Rain lashes the city, streaking down darkened windows and pooling in cracked asphalt. Detective Frank Callahan, 68, limps across a deserted lot, flashlight slicing through shadows like a knife. Every puddle reflects fragments of memories, faces of victims, screams echoing in the fog of his mind. He stops before a warehouse, its corrugated metal groaning in the wind. This is where it all began decades ago. The air smells of rust and damp concrete. A single echoing drip punctuates the night, making him flinch. Something is waiting inside, something he failed to stop long ago. Inside his cramped apartment, Detective Maria Lopez, 64, stares at a wall covered in yellowed photographs. Each one is a frozen moment of pain, a family grieving, a child lost, a life extinguished. Her hands tremble as she flips through case files from 1987, the last unsolved murders that cost her sleep, her faith, and almost her sanity. "We failed them," she whispers, voice cracking. The room is dim, the only light coming from a flickering lamp. Outside, sirens wail faintly in the distance, echoing the chaos of the city they once protected. Frank's phone vibrates violently on the kitchen counter, the screen flashing a number he doesn't recognize. Hesitation grips him, but curiosity wins. "Detective Callahan," he answers. A distorted voice murmurs, "You left something unseen. Come back." The line goes dead. Across town, Maria's phone buzzes identically. Her fingers shake as she answers, only to hear the same chilling message. A shiver runs down her spine. After decades, the past is speaking, demanding attention, and they can't ignore it. They meet at a dimly lit diner, the hum of fluorescent lights above flickering intermittently. Coffee steams between them, forgotten. "You got the call too," Frank mutters. Maria nods, her jaw tight. Silence stretches, filled with memories of mistakes and false leads. She traces a photo of a young girl with her finger. "We didn't see her murderer," she says quietly. Frank's hands clench around his cup. Their eyes meet, a silent agreement forming. They have to finish what they started, no matter the cost. The detectives head to the city archives, a cavernous basement smelling of mildew and forgotten paper. Dust swirls in their flashlight beams. Frank lifts a heavy box, spilling decades of ignored evidence across the concrete floor. Maria discovers a folder that wasn't the original case files, marked with an unfamiliar symbol. Her breath catches. Inside is a photo of a victim, but her eyes seem to glow unnaturally, almost as if the camera captured a hidden message. Their pulse quickens. Someone wants them to find this. Someone has been waiting. Frank sits in his old car, parked under a flickering streetlight. Memories crash over him. Screams of witnesses he couldn't protect, bodies he couldn't save, the guilt that's haunted him for 30 years. Each failure etches deeper lines into his face. He remembers the night of the first murder in 1987. The smell of blood, the shock on the mother's face, and the false leads that led him nowhere. Maria's face flickers in his memory, her calm determination from decades ago, reminding him why they became detectives. They follow subtle patterns in the old photographs. The angle of shadows, faint marks on walls, small symbols carved into furniture. Maria notices a recurring sequence, a hidden map pointing to an active storage facility on the outskirts of the city. Heart racing. Frank and Maria drive through storm-lashed streets, past flickering streetlights and abandoned buildings. Every turn of the tires echoes like a drumbeat, building tension. The city itself seems complicit, whispering secrets through the wind. They confront a retired coroner who assisted in the original investigation. He fidgets nervously, beads of sweat on his forehead. "Some truths were too dangerous," he murmurs. Frank slams his hand on the desk, anger and disbelief mixing into raw emotion. The coroner finally admits that evidence was altered to protect someone in power, a politician whose name had never surfaced in any files. Maria's eyes widen. Decades of injustice are not random. They were orchestrated from within the very system they trusted. Night falls as they approach the storage facility. Rain turns the streets into mirrors reflecting neon signs and street lamps. Frank and Maria slip inside, flashlights cutting through darkness. They hear faint shuffling behind crates. Suddenly, a shadow lunges from the corner. A masked figure brandishing a gun. Heart pounding, Frank tackles the figure while Maria grabs evidence folders. A gunshot cracks the air. They escape through a side door, soaked and bleeding, adrenaline and fear mixing into a heady cocktail. Inside the facility, they discover a hidden room containing meticulously organized evidence. Photographs, recordings, and documents detailing crimes they thought were unrelated. Among the items is a tape label with Maria's name. Her hands shake as she plays it. The distorted voice of someone she once trusted, another detective from a precinct, confesses to orchestrating the murders, manipulating evidence, and silencing witnesses. Maria gasps, her mind reeling. Everything they believed about loyalty and justice has been shattered. Back in Frank's apartment, rain dripping from their coats, they spread out the evidence across the floor. Tears mingle with rainwater on their faces. For decades, justice eluded them, but now the puzzle pieces are falling into place. The moral weight presses on them. Expose a corrupt institution and risk their lives, or bury the truth to protect themselves. Maria touches Frank's hand. "We can't let them win," she whispers. Frank nods, eyes steely. They are ready to finish what they started. Dawn breaks over the city. Frank steps onto the balcony, surveying the streets slick with rain. A single envelope flutters onto the railing. Inside, a photo of the masked intruder, smiling unmasked with a note. This is only the beginning. Sirens wail in the distance. The storm has passed, but the danger hasn't. Frank and Maria exchange grim looks. The last case they couldn't solve is alive, dangerous, and far more complex than they ever imagined. Frank lies awake that night, staring at the ceiling, haunted by memories. Each flashback of the victims' faces and mistakes he made is sharper than before. He remembers the little girl from the first case, the one who never received justice. He whispers a silent promise to her, to the victims, and to himself. Maria, in a separate room, goes through old journals, noting every lead and missed opportunity. Both are consumed by obsession, haunted yet driven by the hope of closure. They return to the storage facility days later. Flashlights slice through darkness as they move through aisles of crates. Suddenly, a figure emerges from the shadows, a former colleague, someone they trusted, now turned against them. He is armed, eyes cold, calculating. A tense standoff ensues. Words are exchanged, accusations fly, and the storm outside mirrors the chaos inside. Every second stretches, each heartbeat amplified, until the figure flees into the night, leaving behind more questions than answers. Maria finds an old map hidden among the crates, with locations marked that correspond to decades-old unsolved crimes. Each mark tells a story of betrayal, murder, and cover-ups. Frank traces the locations with his finger, realization dawning. They are not just chasing one killer, but uncovering a network corruption that has spanned decades. Their hearts pound with a mix of fear, disbelief, and resolve. Late at night, Frank and Maria sit in a diner, exhausted, bruised, and soaked from rain. They speak quietly, recounting memories of their youth on the force, friends lost, and the cost of a life dedicated to justice. Maria wipes a tear from her cheek. "We are too old for this," she whispers, but determination shines in her eyes. Frank nods. "No one else will finish this. It has to be us." Their humanity, frailty, and dedication make the stakes feel deeply personal. Analyzing the tapes and evidence, they discover coded messages indicating that powerful city officials were complicit. The crimes were orchestrated not for passion, but profit, power, and secrecy. Their disbelief grows. They had trusted these people, and now decades of manipulation are clear. Every familiar face from the force could be hiding dark secrets. The web of corruption is bigger than they imagined. A break-in at Maria's apartment sends them racing through rain-slicked streets. Shadows twist and turn with every street lamp. The intruder leaves behind a trail, a deliberate message. "You are not alone. Keep digging." Heart pounding, Frank and Maria follow, navigating abandoned warehouses and alleys, each step a high-stakes gamble. Suspense hangs thick in the night air. Frank realizes that a trusted journalist has been leaking their movements. Every lead they chased, every step forward, had been watched. Their anger, fear, and disbelief collide. But Maria insists, We can't let betrayal stop us. We need to use it. They plan a countermove, preparing to expose the network while staying alive. The stakes are life and death, morality and justice intertwined. In a final showdown at the Central Precinct Archives, Frank and Maria confront the mastermind, a decorated officer with decades of power. Evidence, recordings, and hidden cameras reveal everything. The mastermind's disbelief at being cornered contrasts with their quiet, steady resolve. Justice, delayed for decades, is finally within their grasp. The tension peaks as the mastermind attempts escape, only to be apprehended. The storm clears, sunlight piercing through rain-soaked streets. Frank and Maria walk together, bruised but victorious. They have finally solved the last case, honoring the victims, righting old wrongs, and reclaiming a sense of purpose. Tears are shed quietly. Smiles emerge after years of burden. The city breathes a little easier. As they part ways, a shadow watches from a nearby rooftop, a new envelope in hand. Inside, a photo of the next target and a note, "We're not done. Not yet." Frank and Maria exchange a glance, relentless, unwavering. Their work may never be complete, but they are ready. The last case they couldn't solve is solved, but the war for justice continues. Thanks so much for watching all the way to the end. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.